books I've written about my trip to Central America were as a result of 343 days over 16,000 miles, 8 different countries, 14 border crossings. The first book is called Panama Bust, a 343-day adventure in a motorhome. And it describes a day-by-day what we saw, the people we met, the experiences that we had, and what you might expect to experience if you went yourself, so you'd have the feel for that. And then when I came back, I found people had all kinds of questions. How did you do this? How did you do this? And it had me write my second book, and it's called How to Take an RV into Mexico and Central America, Enjoy Countless Cultural Experiences, and Return Alive. And that particular book tells you how to prepare your body and how to prepare your vehicles before you go. And then once you're down there, how to conduct yourself to maximize your pleasures and minimize your problems. In Mexico, what you're going to find is that there are thousands of RVs from the United States and Canada. But when you go into Central America, you see nothing. We were there for a total of 6 months. 7 countries, drove 5,000 miles, did not see one other RV. Central America has the potential to be substantially more dangerous than Mexico, and that's why people are afraid to go into Mexico and Central America. But again, with the proper preparation and cautions, you can go and have a marvelous time. To properly go down there, you need to make sure before you leave that everything's in good condition, and then you want to carry along the appropriate spare parts if you were to break down. That, for instance, I always carry an extra alternator, a starter, and a fuel pump. Those things, if you get caught out in the wilderness and those things quit on you, you're in trouble. So I carry those, and of course belts and hoses and all that stuff you want to bring along with you too. Because once you're down there, and especially if you choose to get off the Inter-American Highway and get into the Tules like we did, you are out there, and if you're not prepared, you could find yourself in an awkward situation. The roads are interesting. When you're in Central America, for instance, Costa Rica we perceive as being probably the most wealthy country down there. Costa Rica has the most horrible roads, and yet when you go to Nicaragua, they are probably the poorest country down there, and they've got some of the best roads. It's kind of a chance-by-chance situation as to what you run into. Be prepared for lots and lots of potholes, lots of slow going. There was an occasion or two when we made it up to 50 or 55 miles an hour, but not much. There was a whole bunch of time of under 10 miles an hour. And I would say, in general, average for the trip, we probably averaged 20, 25 miles an hour. I would not recommend going alone. The simple reason is if you should break down and you're out in the Tules and there's just one RV, let's say you and your wife are going, and you're out in the Tules and the RV breaks down. The choices you have are limited. You can say, well, we can sit here and wait till somebody comes along to help us. Then that's not likely to happen. Well, honey, you stay here and watch the RV, and I'll hitchhike 400 miles to the capital, get the part, and I'll be back in about a week or so. That doesn't sound very good. Well, I'll stay here, honey, and you hitchhike and go. That doesn't sound very good at all. And, well, let's both go, and will the RV even be here when we come back, or any pieces of it left? So even as well as I know Central America, I personally wouldn't go alone. I'd make sure I have at least one other RV with me, and that way there, if you have a problem, then you've got some better options than if you're traveling alone. Safety, again, it's the preparation. Do some research about where you want to travel. Get out, dig up every map you can find, because maps are hard to come by down there. Get every guidebook you can find to read, and then when you're down there, try to, I know, parking. Where do you park down there, okay? What we found the best thing to do was to park at the Central Plaza. Every town, I don't care how big or small, they all have a Central Plaza. Now you park in the Central Plaza, there's plenty of people around, so the unlikelihood that you're going to have any problems. The only downside is the Central Plaza tends to be the community living room, because the people are so small, they live in such small quarters, that the whole town gathers at the Central Plaza, and they stay up half the night. So if you're going to try to get some sleep, it cuts into your sleep, but at least you're safe. If anybody causes you any, you've got lots of people around you. Recommended, do not park out in the Tules. Just don't do it. Health and medical, a lot of places down there, believe it or not, you can actually walk in and get some decent health care for free. Major medical, in my particular case, my medical's through the VA, and you can buy a very inexpensive policy. through, believe it or not, a diving group. It cost me like $129 something, and they'll fly you back to the United States, the whole shebang, send somebody down to bring your motorhome back. And so there are all alternatives, but in general, you can find medical facilities down there. Many of them are free. Well, I can only tell you my appeal, okay? My appeal was that I've always been an avid reader of history. And over the years, I've read many, many books about Mexico and the history of Central America. And it just got so strong in me, I just had to go and see. And it's very, very intriguing because of the wide variety in cultures, the wide variety in architecture that you see, and the various languages that are down there, and the food and the music, and the people are so friendly. That's one of the things that really struck me, was how poor these people are, but they are so willing to share with you what little they have. They'll invite you into the home to eat with you and everything else, and they're as poor as paupers. But it's just in general how they are.
What about?
The food is marvelous. That's all I can say. Everywhere you travel down there. Now, when you get into some of the poorer countries, the staples are rice and beans. You'll get lots and lots of rice and beans, and you'll get a little bitty piece of meat, and a little bitty piece of chicken and fish, and that kind of stuff. The water, bottled water, is available everywhere, okay? And so you shouldn't have any problems at all. The water is everywhere. Well, money, there are ATMs everywhere. I don't keep you go into the smallest villages, you will find ATM machines, even out in remote Central America. As far as RV parks itself, RV parks, in Mexico there are a few. There's even a guidebook written on that. But in Central America, I know of one RV park in Panama, and that is it. There are no RV parks at all. So you need to be, you need to know how to boondock. We were gone 342 nights, and of that we had electricity 3 nights. So we were 339 days without electricity at nighttime. So you need to know how to boondock if you're going to go down there. Cost, the only thing that's really different as far as cost, heck, everything is just in general cheaper down there. Gas is cheaper, food's a lot cheaper. In general, it's a lot less expensive than traveling in the United States.